The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Hey there, folks, and welcome to the Monday edition of the Whitfield Report. I'm your host, Sam Whitfield, recording here in Florida on a Monday evening. Hope everyone is doing well today. It's Monday, so, beginning of the week. I know it's not always the best, but I'll try and do a quick episode for you and hopefully get your Monday off to an okay start at least for the beginning of the week. So this is going to be a real quick one. Not too many stories to cover this week, but one story in particular that I do want to cover is actually a story that we covered last week. That not a lot of people know about because it hasn't been covered a lot. For those who don't know, Social Security Administration was hacked back in April. As we reported last week on Wednesday's show, it turns out that like over 2 million Social Security numbers have been leaked. Max reported that story on this past Wednesday's show. And, you can see the clip, like, I didn't know about it, and I was kind of freaked out, as were a lot of people who listened to the podcast on Thursday once I posted it. Again, that story did not get a lot of news coverage, and, I wonder why, folks. I wonder why that story didn't get a lot of coverage from the corporate media. It couldn't possibly be due to the fact that an election is coming up, and if that story were to get out, more wide variety of places. It's not like that story wouldn't cause any problems for the incumbent administration. And yes, folks, Kamala is the incumbent here. Make no mistake. I know that, Joe Biden is technically the president, although we still don't know where he is. We still haven't seen an appearance from him in a couple weeks. So where is he? Is he alive? Is he dead? Is he sick still? Last I heard, he supposedly had COVID, but we don't know where he's at. Which is an issue in and of itself. But getting back to the main story, there was this massive Social Security breach that we reported on last week. And just today, ladies and gentlemen, we finally received an update. Not from the Social Security Administration itself, but from USA Today, who ran this headline. So let me pull that up here for you. All right. National Public Data confirms massive data breach included Social Security numbers. So, yeah, basically, this is not good, folks. National Public Data confirms that Social Security numbers, names, addresses, email addresses, and phone numbers were in the 2.9 billion records within a data breach. Security firm Penster.com tool tells you if your data is involved. So let's read on. National Public Data, which aggregates data to provide background checks, has confirmed it suffered a massive data breach, including involving Social Security numbers and other personal data on millions of Americans. The Coral Springs, Florida company posted on its website a notice that there appears to have been a data security incident that may have involved some of your personal information. This incident is believed to have involved a third-party bad actor that was trying to hack into data in late December 2023, with potential leaks of certain data in April 2024 and summer 2024. News about this breach first came from a class action lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and first reported on by Bloomberg Law. Stolen from National Public Data were 2.9 billion records, including names, addresses, social security numbers, and relatives dating back at least 3 decades, according to law firm Schubert, Jochner, and Colby, which filed the suit. NPD said the breach data included. Okay, I just read that. The company said it's cooperating with investigators and has implemented additional security measures in efforts to prevent the reoccurrence of such a breach. And to protect our system. How to protect, how to check and see if your data was in the breach. Cybersecurity firm Penster said it got the data and created a tool you can use to see if your information is in the breach. It shows name, addresses, address histories, and social security numbers. You'll find it at mpd.penster.com. Oh, swell. So another website could potentially have my data. Since financial institutions use social security numbers on applications for loans and credit cards and on investment, having that information available to threat actors poses a serious risk. Blah, blah, blah. So, in essence, folks, basically, as I said, it seems that all that's been confirmed is that big portions of Social Security data have indeed been hacked, ladies and gentlemen. Now, why is this why is this important? Well, it's your Social Security number, folks. Like, this is your Social Security number. Basically, in order to function in, American society, as far as like getting a job, getting a house, getting a bank account, anything requires a Social Security number. That's a fundamental, that's just fundamental right there. And the fact that there's been a big breach right before an election is extremely concerning. This should be like a top tier news story, but yet we're still concerned about other things like the fact that Anna Paulina wearing an American flag bikini, apparently that's like too scandalous. Which we'll get to that later on because that's ridiculous. That's even a story. But getting back to the main point here, folks, the thing about the Social Security data breach that is so egregious is that we've not heard word one from the Social Security Administration about this. And yes, I understand that this was a private company whose data got breached, but these private information companies contract with the government and with the Social Security Administration to house their data. So at the end of the day, folks, the buck does stop with the government and it does stop with the Biden administration. And the fact that the federal government continues to show incompetence on important matters such as border security, national security, and now apparently people's highly private information and data. This is a level of government incompetence that quite frankly we haven't seen in decades. Like I said, this should be the number one news story in the country right now, but it's not. Like I said, we're too busy either worrying about Anna Paulina posing an American flag bikini, or conversely, the fact that Kamala is apparently like really big among Gen Z because social media influencers are all endorsing her. Which I do want to cover that real quick because that is kind of hilarious to me. So here's the thing, folks. Conservatives still don't understand the fact that, like, the reason why Kamala is, doing as well as she is in some polls, it's not because of, policy propositions at all, right? Kamala Harris at this point still has not laid out any policies, except for the fact she announced over the weekend that basically she wants to, evict, that she wants to raise rent prices, but also wants to allow for illegal immigrants to come in and, get free housing somehow, even though we don't have the infrastructure at all to do so. But, let's just keep on bringing them in because why not? The country's already destabilized enough and, the left loves chaos. So why not continue to destabilize the country with more people? But here's what the Republicans don't get, folks. At least I'd say 50% of Republicans don't understand. This audience gets the importance of optics, but there's still a lot of conservatives that don't. At the end of the day, folks, like, I do believe that policy is important. Make no mistake, it is. Having a good policy and having a plan for how to move America forward in a productive and sustainable way, that is extremely important. Don't get me wrong. But the average American is, in fact, the average American these days is just trying to afford groceries and get by living their lives and providing for their families. This is something that Max and I and Morpheus have talked about ad nauseum on the show, and it really is true. So all these Republicans right now are like hand wringing. How is it that Kamala Harris is doing so well in the polls when she has no actual policy recommendations? Literally none that she's really proposed. She hasn't really done a single interview or a live media event really since even announcing that she was going to be running as president. And even then, it wasn't really a live event. It was more of just an announcement. And she didn't even field any questions from the press. The reason why she's doing so well is because the Democrats have bought up all these social media influencers, particularly among Gen Z, who they're in it for the money, folks. And they're in it to sell Kamala Harris as the cool, hip wine mom. Yes, they're fully embracing the fact that, she has speech impediments and quirks and that she can't seem to throw a sentence together. That's, instead of that being concerning, that's just Kamala. She's quirky that way. And, believe it or not, that is actually the way they're spinning it, it is actually getting some traction from people, and that's why she's doing as well as she is in the polls for right now. I suspect that hopefully as the election progresses and once we get into debate season, this is really the moment in time when Donald Trump should capitalize on the fact that she has no policy positions, and he should really take her to task on that when he's debating her. And not even really, if I were Trump, I would actually ask her to clarify her policy positions on the debate stage instead of personally attacking her. Ask her what her policy positions are. Ask her for clarifications on it. And then when she tries to flip-flop on them, which she inevitably will, call her out on that flip-flopping. Because that will be her Achilles heel. And this is something that Tulsi Gabbard, did quite effectively back in 2019 in the Democrat primaries. Tulsi Gabbard completely made Kamala Harris irrelevant back when Harris ran for president during the 2020 primary. Keep in mind that Kamala Harris also basically called Joe Biden a pervert during that primary and then immediately saddled up to Joe Biden to become the VP. So she's willing to say whatever she can to hold office. And if you thought that Biden was a perfect puppet for the deep state, Kamala Harris is even better because she's literally an empty suit and she's not even trying to pretend otherwise. And that's why the Dems like her, because she appears moderate enough, maybe to the normies, but I wouldn't even really say she's radical, although she is. She's just a useful suit for the deep state to continue running things in the administration. Nothing will change if Kamala gets elected. As far as the current trajectory we're on, nothing will change. And believe me, things will continue to suck and get worse, but we're already on a downward trajectory. So in that sense, absolutely nothing will change. And that's why Kamala is the perfect deep state candidate. So again, policy with Kamala doesn't really matter. If you try and, bring that up in a conversation to the average voter, they're not, it's not that they don't care, it's that they're just trying to live their lives. And if conservatives get too, down in the details with, if they nitpick on policy too much, it's just going to turn your average undecided voter off, and they're going to lose interest. Instead, what I would do with the average voter is when you ask them if they say that they're considering voting for Kamala, ask them what they like about Kamala. And then usually, the response will be, well, she's a woman, or she's, an African American, or, I just don't like Donald Trump. Ask them what in their mind makes Kamala qualified to run. If you ask them that question, folks, then they are forced to look at Kamala, Harris's policies, and they might then realize that, oh shoot, she doesn't really have any. But if conservatives immediately attack from, being super autistic about policy as related to Harris, they're not, Kamala has cool, fun, wine mom vibes right now, quote unquote. So, that's kind of my take with Kamala right now. I definitely think that she is beatable. I think that Trump could beat her quite easily. Ultimately, he just needs to basically force Kamala to, give substantive policy answers, right? And the fact that she won't do media or interviews or anything like that should point out to the average voter that she's not qualified, So it'll be interesting in the next few months to see what happens as we get closer to the election. I don't think that this is going to be a landslide for Trump necessarily, or a big blowout. I definitely think that Trump can win. The Dems are going to try and rig it just like they did in 2020. And so that's why every Republican needs to basically get out to the polls on election day and actually vote. And when I mean get out to the polls, I mean actually get out and go to the polls as opposed to, doing mail-in ballots. Because we all know what happened last time, in 2020 with the election ballots that were mailed in. They got tampered with, and are swapped for votes for Biden. Possibly, both, possibly a combination of both. And to that end, folks, that kind of brings up the third kind of, I don't even want to call it a story, folks, but why on earth are we talking like whether or not Anna Paulina wearing a bikini, an American flag bikini, and posting on that on Instagram is a big deal? Why is that a thing, still, folks? There still seems to be this like weird section of like conservatism that is still somehow triggered by the fact that Anna Paulina, who's a congresswoman from Florida, they're triggered by the fact that she wore an American flag bikini because I guess it's not modest enough, or it shows too much skin, or I know what it is, folks. Basically, they're upset that she has that she's very well endowed, that she has boobs, basically. And so it's basically the thing with Anna Maria, with Isabella Maria DeLuca, excuse me, all over again. They're mad that basically there are some trad, conservatives, quote unquote, that are mad that there are women with big tits who are conservative, basically. And I have no idea why. This is the silliest, stupidest argument that, has been going on conservative Twitter for the last few days. Whether or not a woman is well endowed or is part of the itty bitty titty committee really is irrelevant to whether or not you should be supporting Donald Trump if you're conservative. The answer is, if you're conservative, yes, you should be, supporting Trump. It doesn't matter if you're, a woman with, large breasts, small breasts, a guy who, has a six pack or not. Why do we continue to do all this stupid nitpicking as conservative folks, as conservatives? I don't get it. I really don't. The Trumpian era of the GOP is a big tent, party. So let's start acting like it, folks. Like I said, as far as my personal, you know, thing with Anna Paulina wearing an American flag bikini. I mean, I'm a straight, red blooded American male. So obviously I have no problem with that. And if anyone has, seen my Twitter feed, y'all know I have no problem with well endowed women, at all, regardless of, political affiliation. I'm a guy, and guys like women with big boobs. That's like one of the universal facts of life. So I don't get why we continue to hand wring over this, really stupid, debate amongst conservatives. And what's even weirder is like all these, supposed trad conservatives who are upset about like Anna Paulina's modesty or whatever. A lot of them are former like porn stars and whatnot themselves. So I guess from that perspective I can understand. Okay, you have a little bit of self-loathing. I understand that. Maybe you hate yourself because you once did porn or whatever. So now you're mad about that. But don't take your self-anger out on your self-loathing and anger towards yourself out on the rest of conservative movement and other conservative women who might be also physically desirable and attractive to men. Okay, that's stupid. As I said earlier, what we need to focus on is confronting Kamala Harris and the radical left on their crazy BS, as opposed to infighting with ourselves. And it's ridiculous that I even have to bring this up, and that's why I saved it for the end of the show. But conservative Twitter/X is going to do what it's going to do, and it's just all very silly and quite honestly pretty ridiculous. But anyway, folks, that'll do it for tonight's Monday show. Whenever you're listening to this in the past, present, future hour. Real quick, don't forget the Dogs of War, out now in paperback and ebook, along with the rest of the Shadows of Deception Saga. I'll have another announcement regarding the series later at the end of this month, into next month. Some exciting announcements for American Instinct Adventurers that I'm looking forward to announcing. Very excited to share upcoming information with you. And again, thanks to everyone who has purchased this book so far. I really appreciate it. So from all of us at Right to Offend Media, thank you for tuning into the Whitfield Report. God bless, God save this great nation, and God freedom legacy in that order. I'll see you on the next episode, folks.